Hello everyone, my name is AZZATRU, how are you, and welcome to another Star Wars video of mine. And in this video I'm going to be talking about a bunch of different things. We've got a little piece of Battlefront 2 news I want to talk about, but most of this video is going to be spent talking about the upcoming game from EA, which is going to be an open world Star Wars game. I've got a bunch of details that I want to stress and explain because there is a lot of mystery around this game. There's also a lot of misinformation, so I'll be getting to that. We've actually got some new pieces of information that has come to light in the last couple of days or so I'll be focusing more so on that. But first, I just want to say I finally got my Leia skin. If you tuned into my recent live stream, I had a really awful time trying to get Leia's new Hoth skin because I think the game is bugged for some people where when you go to do the Starfighter Assault challenge, it will lock on 4 games and the 5th game just does not work if you complete a 1 Starfighter Assault game after. You have to play 2 rounds in a row regardless if you win or lose. A lot of people are saying it's because I had to win, but I lost a couple of my other games. So it's really confusing, but that is fixed. So if you're having the same issue as me, you've got just over a day to get this skin. Just play 2 rounds of Starfighter Assault together back to back. Don't leave the lobby and you'll be fine. Also, there is another daily challenge. You have to defeat 10 heroes, which can easily be done if you play 1 game of Heroes vs Villains, and you'll get 1,000 credits for it. It's really simple, and that will end tomorrow as well. Now let's move on to this open world Star Wars game news. So GameSpot, who I have had a bad relationship with in the past because I've called them out for their clickbait on the Star Wars Battlefront 2 news regarding microtransactions, but nevertheless they did spot this job listing that referred to the next Star Wars game coming from EA Vancouver to be open world. So let's take a look at this job listing, and we shall also be talking about the Project Ragtag, the game Visceral was developing before it got shut down after I spoke about this new job listing. So the job itself is the lead online engineer, and it's for Star Wars. It's specific for this. It says lead a team to deliver online features for a Star Wars open world project. You will design, architect, and implement the online infrastructure for the project. There's the typical key responsibilities and required technical skills and experience as you'd expect from a job listing like this. It's very generic, there's nothing interesting to see there. Other than the fact it talks a lot about matchmaking, server host migration, live services, all kinds of stuff you would hear when you're looking at a multiplayer game. So if you remember, Visceral's Star Wars game, Project Ragtag, that was the code name, was going to have pretty much no online functionality, and it was going to be a single player story. It was going to be a very true Star Wars story, as if you're playing a film. And it was going to probably have some RPG elements to it, but it wasn't going to be open world. But in the past, that is what was going to happen. So let's take a look at some of the past, because not everyone will have known this. So, Visceral's project before it became the Han Solo bounty hunter stuff, Project Ragtag, was called Yuma, and that was the Arizona desert where Jabba's palace had been filmed in Return of the Jedi, so it was appropriately named. The team decided to keep the idea of pirate game because they were working on a pirate game similar to something like Assassin's Creed Black Flag, but they completely changed that when EA took over the Star Wars license. So they thought, let's bring in the pirates into outer space. And they pitched Yuma as a space scoundrel game in which players could explore the galaxy as a Han Solo-like rogue. It was going to be a hybrid of a linear action shooter, so there would be some linear aspects that would be later into Ragtag, where you're a bit like Tomb Raider games, but you're going to be in space and you'll be able to fly ships. You would fly ships like the Millennium Falcon, board other ships, take on other ships, raid them, get some awesome treasure and stuff. And that sounds fantastic. That is what I originally wanted from Visceral's game. Now, during the development of this game, they hired Amy Hennig, the creator of the stories behind Uncharted, which are a wildly successful and loved game franchise, to do the story for this game. And she didn't actually start on the game, she started working on Battlefield Hardline, but at the end of 2014, when she did sort of take a much more stronger hold on the project, it became clear that Yuma was not going to be the game she wanted. She was not interested in making an open world space game, she wanted a strictly linear action-adventure game just like Uncharted. So they would keep the setting of the scoundrels and scavengers and rogues in space, but it would become a brand new game pretty much. She wanted to talk about heists and things like that, and that's what Ragtag was. It became Ragtag from Yuma. So the open world aspect that EA wanted was gone, and they made it single player. And to be honest, I would have preferred, in my personal opinion, this approach of an open world game. The premise of what Yuma was going to be is a game I wanted from when I was a little kid when I first watched Star Wars. I wanted a game where I could play with friends and have spaceships and board ships and just go around looting people. That's why I'm really enjoying Sea of Thieves at the moment, because it's kind of like that, it's just not in space. Now, once Visceral did get shut down and Project Ragtag was scrapped, EA Vancouver is taking on the remains of that project. They're starting from scratch pretty much on their own Star Wars game. However, it's going to come full circle, because when Kotaku spoke about this back last year when they did close Visceral, it said back in 2014, EA cancelled the open world Star Wars game Yuma to make a linear action adventure game. Now, EA has cancelled the linear action-adventure game to make an open-world Star Wars game, and we've never heard anything, but Amy Hennig's not going to be on the project, which I feel like is a loss, because she would have created an incredible story, but at the same time, personally anyway, I want the open-world aspects of it. I don't really like the linear stuff, because I prefer to play with friends. I'd be interested to hear what you think. Do you like the open world stuff coming back into a Star Wars game, or do you want a linear game? I feel like this open world game is going to be two things. It's going to have a single player aspect of it, because they know people want single player. That's why they put it in Star Wars Battlefront 2. And the backlash they've received from the closure of Visceral and Project Ragtag, they know they cannot not do a single player, or at least a big story element in this game. So if we get the best of both worlds and it's executed well, fantastic. But I feel like there is going to be a bunch of single player stuff, but if you want to go flying with friends, there's going to be a huge online segment, and this is what this job listing is pointing to. It's a lead online engineer. So if they're starting this early on online stuff, it would say to me, they're definitely gearing up to make an open world online world, which would be fantastic. If you could travel to multiple planets in a Star Wars game online with your own ship, with friends, and destroying stuff and, you know, stealing things, raiding ships, that would be awesome. But at the same time, seeing people play by themselves, and there would be a backstory and quite a interesting story that's canon that you can play by yourself, would be cool. I'll be keeping a close eye on any information and developments coming from this game. I, for one, would love this to be a success and a very good game. The game will have been in development for a good few months now, and it's still probably in pre-production. So we cannot see this game for at least two and a half more years away, I would say. 3 is probably more realistic, depending what happens, but the game industry changes so much, we just don't know what's going to happen. Again, let me know your thoughts on this matter in the comment section below, and if you enjoyed this video and learned something new, be sure to drop a like. I'd really appreciate it if you do. Check out my other 2 videos on screen if you did miss them as well, and I shall see you all in my next Star Wars Battlefront 2 video. Goodbye.